Rastafari, yes I. Greetings people, blessed love, you looked into the Roots Juice Breakfast. Today, we are coming at you live and direct from Entoto Mountain, the rooftop of Addis Ababa, and I am joined by a very, very special guest. So, Rasta, please introduce yourself for the people, tell us where you're from and how long you've been making reggae music.
Well, yes, my name is Johnny Dread. My real name is Juan Carlos Guardiola, born of a Cuban family who defected Cuba in 1959 due to the revolution, and we moved to the United States of America, where I was raised all my life in Miami, 305. Played basketball all my life from a basketball family, and at the tender age of about 15, I started to listen to Bob Marley, and things started to take a little bit of a swirl. I was pretty much the only one in all of my society listening to Bob Marley and the words of Bob Marley, and eventually it started to lead me to a land called Ethiopia, the land of Prester Juan, Prester John. My name is Juan and my name is John, so I had to look for this land, which essentially is Ethiopia. Some people call it Abyssinia, but we know it as the Garden of Eden. So here I am, man, in Ethiopia, and I give thanks, as you say, on the rooftop of Addis Ababa. Rastafari.
Yes, I. So, like you say, we're here in Ethiopia. You've been here a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
I want to just keep it simple. What is it that brought you to Ethiopia right now in this time?
Well, I would say the truth, you know, because for so long the truth has been hidden, everything has been concealed, and in this time of revelation, it's time for things to be revealed, and in this time of Armageddeon, everything pointed towards Ethiopia, because as we know, the Vatican has been lying. The land of the holy city, we know, is just full of holes and trolls and hypocrites and parasites. So we had to find a place that was actually telling the truth. And for so long, this truth has been hidden. And when I say the truth, I talk about the Ark of the Covenant, because the Ark of the Covenant, it's God's trophies, essentially. Just like there's a World Cup and there's a soccer trophy, well, God too has a trophy, and that is the Ark of the Covenant. And it's been here for 3,000 years, because it defected 3,000 years ago from Jerusalem with the unification of Solomon and Sheba and their firstborn, Menelik I. Everything that was for the Israelites once upon a time is now for New Jerusalem, Ethiopia. And so this is why I'm here, because, you know, from the moment I was born, I was taught to learn and to praise the Almighty. And when I found and I looked for the Almighty, I really wasn't finding it in America so much. And I found that on the hilltops and the mountaintops of all the indigenous countries of all South America. You go to Peru and you find people praying. You go to the Himalayas, you find people praying. You go to the highlands. Anywhere you go to the highlands in the world, you'll find people praying. And the closer you get to the city, you'll see that there is no God present. No matter how much people think they're praying, God can't be present in a materialistic foundation. So when you go to the mountains, you will find people praying, and that's where God is listening, guys. There's too much nonsense going on in the cities. And so Ethiopia for me is the highland, is the highest region. And so I've reached and I see that everything that was been hidden and I knew about and I was curious about, I was actually able to find out that yes, it is certain that in the churches of Lalibela, there are depictions of a bronze Christ, of a Christ with hair of wool, eyes of fire, whereas the depiction that I was given, the European depiction, was kind of a lie. Not kind of a lie, but a lie, because there can't be two stories. There can only be one story. And so this depiction of Christ that came in the 13th century, the one that we know, the Caesar de Borgia, or whatever his name is it's a lie, essentially. So I came to verify it and find it in myself and say, yeah, this is it. I already knew it, but to come see it firsthand, experience it, nothing can change that anymore. So I'm here to testify to the world that Rastafari is alive, Ethiopia is alive, the Garden of Eden is alive, the Alpha and Omega, in the beginning, so shall it be in the end, yeah. So as we see right now, Earth, the way Earth is moving, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, fires that were never here, you know, it's all happening. It's unraveling right now. And so I come to a place like this where there's less confusion. And in the West, where there's so much potential and so much money and so much assets and so much potential, you see the decadence rising to a level that we've never seen before. So it's like man has lost his mind, you know. Yesterday was a Super Bowl, and that's all everybody could think about is a Super Bowl. But yet you have people right there outside of the stadium starving. But yet people are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars over a silly little game. So yeah, not to get too heavy, but this is a heavy subject, and it's a heavy time right now, so we must get heavy, you know? Yeah. Rastafari.
So you mentioned about in Lalibela the original depictions of the Black Crest and these ancient evidences and artifacts. A lot of people they won't understand the importance of these kind of knowledges. So can you tell us about the importance of knowing these, historical facts?
Sure. Well, it was a plan. It was a wicked plan that was derived from the Europeans a long time ago, because the key to humanity, not the key is really love. So it's either love or hate. You're either on God's side or you're against God. You're either with Christ or you're against Christ. And so this system has been designed to take you away from Christ and to take you to the side. Look, Sunday. Sunday is a celebration of the Son. It's not the Son of God. It's a celebration of the Son. Sunday. We're supposed to keep the Sabbath on Saturday and keep it holy and keep His Majesty and keep the Father clean in His name during that day, not on the Sunday. Sunday is a pagan day worship, but you see the whole world is worshiping on Sunday. They've lost their way because the inoculation from Europe has been so intense that after 2,000 years, people don't know what to believe. If I say a rumor here, and in 3 days that rumor is going to turn into something else. So you can imagine 2,000 years of false propaganda, of promoting this white Christ. And people ask me, Dread, why does he have to be this color, this color? I could care less if he was green, but the fact that somebody painted him white, you have to make you think, why? Why didn't you just leave the color where it was? So why is it important? Because when your deity is white, then there's no way you can conquer that. No matter how great you are, no matter how much assets, how much minerals, how much gold, silver, diamonds you have in your country. When you have a white Christ or a white deity, it's very hard to raise above it. Because at the end of the line, at the end of the day, is a white guy. I don't understand how this got so perverted, inverted, to the point where in 2020 you have a black nation and still you find a white Christ, pictures of white Christ. But we know, because I was there just 2 weeks ago in Lalibela, where we saw the original depictions of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And he was bronze, and his hair was of wool, like it says in Revelations, and his eyes of fire. But people don't really want to read the Bible. They want to read the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and these things. But they're scared to read the reality. And until you get to Revelations and start to dig into Revelations, you're going to be lost. If you don't know your ABCs, how are you going to get to XYZ? It's like Europe was introduced at LMNOP without understanding, overstanding what came before that. They just started at here. We're going to start here. It's going to be convenient. We're going to make our own agenda, and we're going to create our own world, Catholicism, and we're going to spread it like Nike spread Michael Jordan, pretty much. Christ is the new Michael Jordan. They just spread it and they use his name, his depiction, and they collect and they collect and they collect, but yet they don't give back. The world could use some of that wealth that the Vatican has stored for generations and centuries, but yet they hoard it and they help no one. You have to make you think, why? Why? So yeah, in this time of Revelation, everything that's been hidden is now coming to light. Yeah. And that's why we're here right now. It's here because we need to find out and know and tell the world about it. While I was here, I saw many Europeans coming with their expensive cameras, and I asked myself, why are they coming here? And most of them are old. They're in their older age. It seems like they started to find out the truth because they've been lied to all their life, and they've been coming here just to find out if it's true or not. If this is true, if there is actually a Black Christ. And lo and behold, much to their surprise, they did find those images of a Black Christ in the churches of Lalibela, the sacred churches of Lalibela. Yeah. So you're not going to find that anywhere else. You got to come here. You know, dig this. You know, God said if you were going to build a church, you had to build it out of the mountain. So no matter where you go in the whole world, you're not going to find any churches built out of the mountain. Only when you come to Ethiopia, and you'll find 11 churches all in one area celebrating the Lord's story. Only in Ethiopia, only in Lalibela. You can go to Europe, you can go anywhere you want in the world, and all the churches that are built, they're built on sand. And when you built it on sand, your foundation must crumble. But when you build it out of the rock, out of the mountain, it'll stand forever. And so Ethiopia must stand forever. It was here in the beginning, and so shall it be in the end. Rastafari.
The trip to Lalibela and the revelation of these truths that we're talking about, this has all been part of a vision of the eye. Now, I believe this vision stretches back almost 25 years. Can you tell us about that very first album, Vision, and the whole project, the whole vision behind the vision right there?
Well, I have a vision, yes, well, of a region, holy Mount Zion. Well, a vision, yes, well, of a region, lion. It's a vision of a place that I was told about and that I read about, a land so far away. And the curiosity 25 years ago was so intense. Actually, 35 years ago was when I first started to hear about this thing. Bob Marley said, Rasta man live up, boom, do doom, Congo man don't give up. Seek your culture, don't be afraid of the vulture. And then Bob said, grow your dreadlocks, don't be afraid of the wolf pack. When I heard those words without even knowing who the vulture was or who the wolf pack was, I started to say, yeah, I can dig this. Bob's talking to me. And I was a Catholic youth with short hair, and I said, I grow my dreadlocks. This is against society. This is crazy to do this. But like those who followed Christ, the disciples, you have to leave your family and follow the word. And if it means to be ridiculed, it means to be seen as an outcast, and it seems like maybe you lost your mind, you don't have to watch that, because you know deep inside your intuition is telling you that there's something else heavier than this lie that they've been giving me. A lot of people are like sheep to the slaughter, and they just go, and they'll follow that wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. They'll follow that wolf just to find out they're gonna get slaughtered. But I was born with a different intention and different intuition. And if I look around the world, I find certain brothers in every part of the world that have the same vibration as I'm feeling. And when I see that, it's bonifying my story. It makes me feel like, yeah, I'm not the only one. Thank God I'm not alone in this Armageddeon. So I see Rastafarians all around the world. It's going to take a while for the world to actually understand the profoundness and the sincerity and the fullness of His Majesty. Like right here in Ethiopia, people still don't see His Majesty as the Almighty as we see it, through the lineage of David, through King Solomon, the 225th emperor of this land. Now remember, this land has the Ark of the Covenant. So this is not just Africa. They have the trophy. So if anybody can decide and if anybody can bestow this upon anybody, it's this land, because God has chosen this land. This is the land of God. You might think it might be in the Vatican, you might call it in Jerusalem, but as you see war and rumors of war going on, America's about to pop off. You come here, it's peaceful. There might not be a lot of richness, but there's a different kind of richness here. Dig this. It's easier for a camel to enter an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of Zion. So if it's gates of Zion that you wish to come to, then you must come here, because these are the gates. You're not going to find those gates in Gotham City. You're not going to find those gates in the Vatican. in Russia, in these places, you can only find them in one place. And that's here in Ethiopia. Yeah, search and search as you search if you want to search. But the puzzle, the missing puzzles, the pieces are right here. Europe gave us a puzzle with missing pieces. And until you find the Lion of Judah, your puzzle will never be completed. And that's all I got to say pretty much about that. We can go on and on, I'm sure we will. Yeah. Next question, my brother.
Rastafari. So next question. We've been on the road in Ethiopia for about 2 weeks. We mentioned Lalibela. Could you quickly tell us about some of the other places we visited and how they were also part of this overall vision of the act?
Yeah, well, you know, Ethiopia is impossible to see in 15 days. So we did our best. We went to Lalibela. I thought we would get to Axum. We were unable to get to Axum, but I was told that, you know, it's kind of a tourist trap there. We know what is there. There's the church that actually holds the real Ark, and it's there. We know this to be true. There's only one place in the world that actually celebrates the Ark of the Covenant. And so you have to ask yourself, why is Ethiopia celebrating the Ark of the Covenant? It's very simple. It's because it's here. You know, you celebrate these other things in these other places, but why do you come to Ethiopia? Because the Ethiopia is the Ark, the celebration of the Ark, because it's here. We went to Gondar, which is Ethiopia's third capital. Axum was the first, Lalibela was the second, Gondar is the third. And in Gondar also we saw the castles, some ancient castles, just amazing architecture way before Europe started to make their architecture. You just need to come here first, and if you are an architect, you'll see what I mean. You know, the domes, you know, they're here. Long before Europe started to make their domes, they're here. I went to one of the castles where the Italian army, while they were here during their short visitation in Ethiopia in 1935, they used one of the churches here, castles, as their headquarters. You know, that's how important it was of the Italians to come here and try to conquer this. That's a story that people don't know about, is that the Italians came in 1935 to conquer the Lion of Judah. They came to Ethiopia for a reason. They said it was here to colonize it because Italy did not have a colony. Yet Belgium did, France did, England, everybody in Europe seemed to have a colony. But Ethiopia is still not colonized. So the Italians, with their arrogance, figured that they could come here to Ethiopia and conquer Ethiopia. With the blessing of the Pope, they came to Ethiopia and proceeded to conquer this land for a little while. And there was a real serious Holocaust that was created here, that was caused here by the Italians, that people don't want to talk about. There was millions of Ethiopians that were killed here. The Italians came here and chopped heads off and murdered people just because of the fascism agenda. They wanted to conquer Ethiopia. But he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So Haile Selassie exiled himself and he went to England for 5 years. And after 5 years, he returned back to Ethiopia to regain his throne. And the Italians were run out. And as we all know, Mussolini and his wife were hung upside down in the Vatican Square. So we know these things. You know, when you do something wrong, the right always must conquer. Good will always conquer evil. So no matter how much you try to fight against God's story, God will always win. Like Haile Selassie say, with courage, faith, and a just cause, David will always beat Goliath. Yeah, Rastafari.
So you mentioned His Majesty there. You have a lot of music that mentions the King of Kings. Tell us quickly about the importance of knowing Haile Selassie.
Well, first off, reggae music. I wanted to address this because reggae music was created in Jamaica. And before the electronics came to it, it was Nyabingi. It was a calling of the African spirit, finding his birthright, his story. And his story being Ethiopia, because Marcus Garvey said, look to the east, because in the east there will be a king crowned. And only if you had your intuition and only if you were reading your Bible, you could actually say, yeah, this is the man that was prophesied to take the seat of David, the seat of Solomon in Ethiopia. So when you start to find how how incredible the story is. It's just inspiration that began to come inside of me, and I started to write like never before and feel a certain situation, feel a certain vibe that I had never felt with Catholicism or any other kind of Christianity they had given me. The stories just didn't match up, you know? And I'm all about filling it up, you know? If something's incomplete, then there's a reason why it's incomplete. So we want to find the complete story. And only when you come here will you find that complete story. See the red, gold, and green? The red, gold, and green, as Leopold says in Marcus Garvey, that the red stands for the blood that flowed like the river, and the gold stands for the gold that they stole, and the green stands for the land of Africa. That's nice. But the reality of the red, gold, and green stands for the three sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And in Ham is known to be the prophet. Let me repeat that. The red, gold, and green stand for the three sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And in Ham is known to be the prophet. So if you know who the prophet is and you know where Ham is, then it's very simple. 1 and 1 makes 2. Ham is Ethiopia, and the prophet is the Lion of Judah. The Lion of Judah. The Lion of Judah, not the Lion of the Vatican, not the Lion of India, not the Lion of America, the Lion of Judah. Judah is Ethiopia. And so, what are you looking for? You're looking in the wrong place, so you're never going to find it. Christ said he would return in 2,000 years. Yet people are still looking, I don't know what they're looking for. The Lion of Judah revealed himself. In 1930, he was coronated, November 2nd, for all the world to see. And on that day, all ambassadors, all presidents, all prime ministers, they all sent their representatives and ambassadors. They all came to Ethiopia. I believe it was a 2-week-long celebration or even 2-month celebration. I can't remember. It was a very long time, and people were here, and you can look at it and watch it on the BBC. It was all recorded. It's the coronation of Haile Selassie. So if you're curious about the story, nowadays you can all find it. It's right there on YouTube. It's right there on the internet. No longer do you have to, there's no excuse. There's no more excuse. If you want to know the knowledge, you don't have to go to college. You just open the gates of wisdom, the gates of Zion, and everything will be there for you. Even a baby can understand this, overstand this. So my music is about Christ in his kingly character. Because Christ is my friend, and Christ said he would return, but he would return in a new name, that he wouldn't return like Christ. And his new name would be dreadful to those who do not know him. Rastafari. So when you say Rastafari, it's Rastafari. Ras means head. Tafari means king creator. Head king creator. What a beautiful name. His name is Haile Selassie. That means Haile Selassie means the power of the Trinity. That's his name. The might of the Trinity. It's not the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. No. The Trinity is right there. But people want to look in different places, and they manipulate the story. You know, the King James Version. Now, who is King James? He's a white king from England. You think he's going to write a book to benefit the African? To benefit the Indian? To benefit Latin America? No, he's going to write a book that benefits his story. His Anglo-Saxon story. King James Version. And even in King James Version, you will see that many pages were not edited. He would like to take that back. Genesis chapter 2, verse 10, it tells you that there was a river with 4 rivers that makes the Garden of Eden. The first one is the Pison, which compasses the land of Havilah, which now they call Lake Victoria, which is Uganda, which is Kenya, which is Rwanda. That is the source of the White Nile. The Pison. The second river is called the Gihon, which is the Blue Nile, which comes out of the Lake Tana, which is the source of the Gihon. And then they come down where the Sudan is together, and then they go down and make the Nile, ends up in Egypt. But all they teach you about is the Euphrates and the Tigris. You have to ask yourself, why did they teach us in history books the Euphrates and the Tigris, but in history they didn't teach us about the Gihon and the Pison? But in the Bible, it tells you very plain and clearly, very plain and clearly. Genesis chapter 10, chapter 2, verse 10. It tells you right there, and you can look at it, King James Version, and you'll see the Pisong and the Gihon, which come out of the land of Ethiopia. It says it. It's the first country or place mentioned in the Bible. There's no Rome mentioned. There's no anything else mentioned. It's Ethiopia that they mention. How is it that Ethiopia got left out of the story? So this is what it's about. Coming back to the land of origin to find out the story is real, and it's not religion. Religion is something man-made. This is reality. This is history. Not his story, but this is history here. And when you don't know about it, that's why the world is out of balance. We're out of balance. We're following something that's fake. It's farce. Its foundation is weak. It has no foundation. Jah loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. These are the foundations that Jah loves. Not those silly foundations in Rio de Janeiro, Ibiza, Gotham City, all these places where you know what's going on, these debaucheries. God doesn't belong in them places. He's not listening. He's listening to his people pray. And his people pray in the highlands. The higher you go is where the prayer is going to be heard. Jah Rastafari. You hear that echo? You can't hear that in the city. You get washed up by the bus and the taxis and the people. But here, God can hear you. So if you ever want to talk to God, raise up and come to the mountaintop, because he's not going to hear you in the city, no matter how hard you pray. It's impossible. Rastafari.
So we're gonna seal up. One last thing. Well, one thing more. You have a message for the younger generation. You have a message for the Ethiopian youth and the people listening right now.
Really, you know, like they said, good man is not ever honored in his own country. So yeah, there's a message for Ethiopia, but there's a message for everyone, because many callers, few shall be chosen. So this message is a worldwide message. You can be in Alaska. You can be in anywhere. You can be in a mountaintop in Colombia. You can be in Tennessee. You can be in Miami City. Anywhere you can be, and you could hear this. You don't have to be from a certain place. What has been hidden from the wise and the prudent is now being revealed to the babe and to the suckling. And what that means is that those who are all pompous and think they know it all, they know nothing. So this message comes to those who are mind is empty. Because once you have a mind that's full and you've already stuck in your ways, it's very hard for an old dog to learn new tricks, you know? So it's better to just start with the youths, because they haven't been tainted. They haven't been inoculated by this European story, which is a lie. It's a lie. 13th century Emperor Constantine created this version of white Christ. It's known, we know this, but before the 13th century, you'll see that there's images of a black Christ. So how did he get white when he was bronze? How did this happen? That's what you have to ask yourself, you know?
Yes, aye. So, Vision, after the Vision came 3 more albums.
Yeah, Magnificent People is chapter 2, because it's about magnificent people. All my music is written about this land, you know. Because there's no other land really that inspires me. Everything else is a farce, you know. The World Cup, the World Series, you know, this is just a lie. It's just a little game to entertain yourself while government officials continue to rape the land, disrespect the land, take indigenous people's land away. More and more peace treaties, and they never honor these treaties. You know, look at the indigenous Native American in America. This is probably the saddest story ever. Look what they did in Hawaii. Look what they did in the Philippines. Look what they've done everywhere. Look what they did in the Congo. King Leopold. Look what Cecil Rhodes did to Europe. I mean, to Africa. He just came and they just conquered. Just take it like they're allowed to take these things. Exploit the people and make them work for their own good. This is not right. You think God is happy with this? God is not happy with this. You must pay a price. There's a thing called karma, that what goes around must come around again, and what goes up must come down. But you can buy it off with your money. And you can buy it off with your guns and your ammunition and your nuclear power. But eventually, the Almighty will avenge this. And he will avenge his children. And the meek shall inherit the earth. This is written. He who was first shall be last. And he that was last shall be first. Rastafari says so.
So, all right, we have two little questions. Last thing, well, I'm going to roll it into one question then.
Roll it.
Firstly, what can we expect in the future from Ras Johnny Dread?
Well, after this visitation here to the Holy Land, to the real Holy Land, not to the land of holes, but the real Holy Land, is only inspiration. I have about 50 songs in my head, and now it's just a matter of just, because I don't really write lyrics. It's a matter of hearing the rhythm and going and letting the inspiration take a ride, you know? So I look forward to getting back to a studio and regurgitate everything that is inside of me right now. It's about 5 years of material, or maybe even further. A lot of material that's inside of me is all gonna come out like a river right now. Very simple, yeah.
So tell us, obviously, last thing, the man is a herbalist, the man is a ganja advocate. Tell us about the importance of the
ganja. You know, marijuana is, like Peter Tosh says, marijuana is a girl from Cuba, you know. It's a plant, like Bob Marley says. I'm not gonna try to make up anything. Bob already told you, it's a plant. Why these people don't want you to have this herb when it's so good for us? The emperor wears no clothes. They don't want us to this is the herb of inspiration. You know, they go and they go all out to make alcohol and beer, and they mix the hops with the barley, and they ferment it, and they do all these things, wine and alcohol, and then the cocaine with the cocoa leaves, and they manipulate it to bring down man. And then they go to the poppy plants out in Afghanistan and these places. Why? When the herb is right there, because the herb, wow. The herb, like Bob Marley says, it gives you time to know yourself, man. It gives you time to just, calm down. Herb, God don't make no mistakes, you know. Just like he made the apple, just like he made the tomato, like he made the banana, he made herb to heal us. And as we're seeing now, you have CBD in the stores now. You get herbs sold across the counter now in many states. Some are fighting it, but eventually, whatever God creates is perfect. And so he will avenge what Babylon has tried to taint, you know. In the 30s with Prohibition, and they made a movie called Reefer Madness, because they don't want you to be bright. They don't want you to be inspired. They want you to keep you numb with the alcohol and the cocaine and the heroin and the barbiturates and the over-the-counter opioids. You know, America's on drugs right now. Since the Civil War, America's been on drugs. Back in the day, it was morphine, you know, but now it's opium. To this day, Mother's Little Helper. Half of America is on drugs right now, and you don't even know it. And they're trying to avoid the herb, and the herb is what could solve this problem. So as you see, as the herb gets more and more accepted, you will start seeing companies like McDonald's, Monsanto, and all these Babylonian companies coming in to take advantage of the herb, you know, and start to reap profits off the marijuana. The same thing that they've been fighting for years and years and years. Now they want to conquer it and own it and sell it, make a profit. But we're not gonna let them do that, Rasta. Herb is the healing of the nation. And in Genesis it tells you that any tree bearing seed is for man's consumption, and grass is for the fowls and for the birds. You can read that in Genesis chapter 1. Yeah, just look it up. Marijuana is our best friend, but people want to ignore it, fight it down. Yeah. So as you know, children of Jah, Rastafari, Ganja, not marijuana, Ganja, and reggae music. Reggae music was designed to praise the Almighty. It's not reggae where reggae has been stray gay, you know, it's stray from the root. Reggae was created to sing to the Almighty, and that's it. So if you're singing reggae and you're singing with other lyrics, it's no longer reggae. you're exploiting it. The devil always comes in and takes what the angel created. From the beginning of time, the devil waits, he waits, and when he sees something is good, he comes in and he takes advantage of it. And that's what he's done to the reggae music now. So nowadays, you don't even know what reggae music is. Yeah, Rastafari.
Yes,
Bless up.
Rastafari. Johnny Dread, give thanks for joining I on the show today. Any last message? Sign off. Bless up the people.
Well, the message is, Rastafari, know thyself and be true to thyself and seek your best. Try to seek the lion, you know, and forget all the illusion and all the confusion that Babylon has been put on us, and seek the truth, man. That's why what I advise to everyone. And even if the people are telling you no, say yes, and you push on through and you persevere, and your commitment will allow you to get to that mountaintop, you know? Because everyone now is in the cesspool, swimming in that dirty water. If you want that clean crystal water, you gotta rise to the top of the heap. And to get to the top of the heap is you gotta be in Rastafari land, you know? Rastafari gotta be on your mind. Because when you check it out, everything's a lie. It's all a lie. Yeah, Rastafari. Keep your eye on the prize. Bless it.
We have vision. Well, I have a vision, yes, a little region. Holy Mount Zion. Well, a vision, yes, a little region. Lion.
Ethiopia for me is the highland, is the highest region.
R-A-S-T-A-F-A-R-I.